Hello everyone, I am Dr. Fahim. This is the lecture series of Advanced Research Methodology. Today we are going to discuss the lecture 3 of Research Methodology. One of the primary goal of academic training is to learn how to learn how to continuously observe new knowledge. Previously, we have discussed the definition of research, which is we can say that research is systematic because it follows some steps like firstly you have reviewed the literature, after that you have find the problem, based on the problem you have proposed the hypothesis, and so on, all the complete steps that are required to inquire a new knowledge. Research is also explained as the process of exploring the unknown, studying and learn new things, building new knowledge about things that no one has understood before. That is what we think of as performing research. It shows that based on the existing knowledge, based on the existing method, any other models, any theory, you have to find out the problem, or we can say you have to find out the gap that need to be filled. Based on this novel approach, you have to perform your research. Novel approach can be addressed using the problem statement. You have to contribute it in the existing knowledge and develop a new approach. Okay, the activity of a diligent and systematic inquiry or investigation in an area with the objective of discovering or revising fact, theories, applications, etc. The goal is to discover and disseminate new knowledge. These are all the research definitions we again and again repeat with different angles. In previous lecture, we have also discussed the research process. Today again we go through the research process again. The first step of the research process is to realize there is a problem. Firstly, you need to identify, is there any problem in the existing system? Once you have realized there is really a gap or problem exists, then you have to look to see if anyone has solved it. How you can see? By reviewing the more literature related to that topic and counters, people who counter that technique. You also need to review both the techniques. After that, once you find out this problem is not solved out before, so you have to develop a plan how to solve it. In other way, we can say that you have proposed a model. After that, you have implement this methodology and solve it by contributing in the existing technique. After that, you have evaluate your solution based on some evaluation parameters with the existing models, techniques. Finally, you have to disseminate your solution. IT research, which is inherently multidisciplinary field, because in every areas we have developed new techniques by hybriding the IT or computer science research. Also, we have developed this technique for the specific purpose, which include the start and finish time. Also, for that purpose, we have a finite resources such as time, people, and money as well. Here is the educational goals, which are refine your critical thinking skill. If you think that you are just reading the research papers, you are just reading different thesis books, you have not got the idea. You, until that, you have a critical thinking skill, which help you to generate an idea, or in other words, we can say that you have generated different possibilities to solve the particular problem. Also, you need to refine your ability to work independently or on a team. Firstly, you may, if you are new research, you may have a first paper writing. Maybe you feel help from different resources who can teach you to complete your paper or each section of your paper. But when you are able to understand the art terminologies of research, then you are able to work independent, or also this is the ability to work in team also establish how the team member will integrate all the modules and complete the project. Also increase your understanding of how to use research tool while working with the team members. If you have a skill in any particular area with your team member, when you are doing combined work, you may get different ideas to solve the similar problems. Also, you need to refine your oral and writing presentation skill, which is very, very important. Your writing skill will attract the reviewer for the acceptance, or in other word, we can say your writing skill will attract the evaluator or examiner while you are presenting your thesis or any proposal. Deepen understanding of a topic. So when you are doing research in particular area, until you have not deepened knowledge of the particular field, until that you will not got the new ideas how to solve the problem, even that you have not find out where is the research gap or where the problem exists. Maybe when you are reading very less literature, you have some idea, but until you have to verify from the existing research, you cannot say that the idea is not published till now. Your idea will be the novel idea. Finally, our major task is to contribute to the community who understand a topic. There are three key players when you are doing your research. First is the researcher who is working on any research article or while writing any thesis. Researcher may be any individual researcher, independent researcher, or maybe any student. Second key player is the supervisor who supervising you, who have to authenticate your work that you are going to right direction or no. Also manage all the activities and time when you are doing your research. Third is the evaluator who is to examine your research. In next slide we will explain the key players. Next is the assessment. First assessment is the relevance, how much your work is relevant with the existing model, how much the originality with your work. Sometimes what the student do, they just copy the material of any existing research. Maybe they have copied most of the data and just they have do the rephrasing. Rephrasing means change to your own words. This will also firstly examined by your supervisor. Then what about the significance of your area? What is your contribution? Is it your research is plagiarized free or no? Moreover, it need to be clearly presented. You need to explain your idea in very clear manner. Also, the consistent presentation. Also, the apparent understanding of the topic. When you are doing or presenting your presentation, you must have enough understanding of the topic, because this is the possibility when you presenting in front of the open session. Any of the member may ask you any question. If you have not deepened knowledge, then it's more difficult for you to answer the question. Ability to handle references and citation. You should know that when you are writing your research paper, and also when you are writing your research paper, you are targeted that, oh, this my contribution is strong enough, I will send to this journal. According to the journal, you must review their guideline of uh, citation and the references. Accordingly, you need to able to manage the references according to their guideline, according to their formats. Also, you have ability to meet the deadline. Sometime any conferences or some of the journals, special issues, they have deadline. Or in other word, when you have your presentation, thesis presentation or viva presentation, you must be able to meet the deadline uh, uh, by extra time, spending extra time for the research. Also, you have able to adhere to formal requirements. Research institute in which establish new knowledge and make it available to the public. There are some institutes that are working on the real time research that the country's need of the market. For example, many of the people are affected with the coronavirus or any other disease. So researchers or these research institute have major focus is that the scientists have to work on the current problem, how to address that problem, how they have able to give firstly give the solution of that problem. And these organization after their research or when they are got the solution, they have sent it to the public for their awareness. And these institutes are also not driven by profit. Also, they are recommended to the researcher to choose the topic. These are also the possibility maybe they have to give the grant to the researcher, those who are interested to be a part of their institute and work on whatever the research topic they are provided. Some of the commercial organizations also doing the research that are aligned with the business goal. The goal of this organization is to generate profit for the business, and these organization recommended the researcher must choose the research topic that will develop a new product for the organization, and they will not disseminate to the public. Regardless of the type of research, it is critical that it be reliable. The research method is that the procedure of collecting data, formulating hypotheses, testing a hypothesis, interpreting result, and drawing conclusion. These are, in other words, we say that the research process here, research method, in other words, we say research methodology is the definition is also is that firstly we have to collect data. After based on that we have to propose any model, then implement that model and test this model and interpreting these results and compare with the existing models, existing results, and finally drawing the solution, a conclusion. And sometime we are also providing the future direction because we want that people have to work and cite your research. Now we discuss the quantitative research, and after that we differentiate the quantitative and qualitative research. Quantitative research is expressed in number and graphs. It is used to test or confirm theories and assumptions. This is very major sentence which I said. It is used to test or confirm theories and assumptions. It develops models, theories, hypotheses describing a phenomenon. We have defined the quantitative method by involve measuring something that will help the model, theory, and hypothesis. Detailed explanation of the assumptions, which is the quantitative research. This type of research can be used to establish generalizable facts about a topic, like experimental research, content analysis, etc. This approach can be further subclassified into inferential, experimental, and simulation approach to research. Firstly, we will discuss the purpose of inferential approach. It is the research in the form of database from which to infer characteristic and relationship of population. This usually means survey research where a sample of population is studied, questioned or observed to determine its characteristic, and it is then inferred that the population has the same characteristic. Okay, understand? Next, experimental research or experimental approach is characterized by much greater control over the research environment, and in this case some variables are manipulated to observe their effect on their variables. Third is the simulation approach, which involve the construction of an artificial environment within which relevant information and data can be generated. Here we will establish the artificial environment. This permits an observation of the dynamic behavior of a system or a subsystem under controlled condition. Moreover, if we explain the term simulation in the context of business and social sciences application, which is refer the operation of a numerical model that represents the structure of a dynamic processes. In quantitative research, the sample size is large and we are computed the experimental. These experimental are repeatable. Next is the quantitative research, qualitative research, sorry. Qualitative research is expressed in words. It is used to understand concept, thoughts, or experience. Again, I want to repeat, it is used to understand concepts, thoughts, or experience. Also defined as approach to research is concerned with subjective assessment of attitude, opinion, and behavior. This type of research enables you to gather in-depth insight on topics that are not well understood. For example, like interviews. Okay. Also, it discover underlying meanings and pattern of relationship without using or develop mathematical models. For the development of mathematical models, we have used the quantitative research in which we analyze through math and statistical analysis in quantitative. Okay. Qualitative method involve field work which could include interview or personal observations. Also, the sample size is small and the experiments are not necessary to be repeatable. Now, I want to compare or differentiate the quantitative versus the qualitative research. Firstly, we look out the definition is qualitative research is frequently a precursor to quantitative research. With this figure, we also understand the definition of qualitative and quantitative. How? How you people have to see this picture on what angle? Actually, this figure show qualitative research is on the top and the first guy is qualitative research is on the top and identify the problem and clarifies the objective that will be further investigated by the quantitative research which is sitting behind. Okay. In qualitative research, I again explain the definition in which focus on exploring idea and formulating a theory or hypothesis, while in quantitative research, which focus on testing theories and hypotheses. With this comparison, we see that in qualitative only focus on exploring idea and formulating a theory, but on the other hand, we see that the quantitative research which focus on testing theories and hypotheses. Also, qualitative research can be analyzed by summarizing, categorizing, and interpreting. On the other hand, the quantitative research can be analyzed through math and statistical analysis. Also, the qualitative research require few respondents, while the quantitative research required many respondents. The key term for the qualitative research, as we discussed previously, are understanding, context, complexity, subjectivity, while the key term for quantitative research are testing, measurement, objectivity, and replicability. Okay. Also, I want to explain the data collection method for the qualitative method and quantitative method. The data collection method of qualitative is firstly the interview, in which we ask open and question verbally to the respondent. Another is method is the focus group, in which discuss among a group of people about a topic to gather opinion that can be used for further research. Some other ways or methods are case studies and literature review. While, on the other hand, the data collection method for quantitative research is the survey, in which list of closed or multiple choice question that is distributed to a sample online, in person, over the phone. Another method include the experiments situation, in which the variables are controlled and manipulated to establish cause and effect relationship. Other methods are observation and the content analysis. These are the data collection method of qualitative and quantitative research. Next are the research terms, which include researchers, supervisors, and evaluators. These are the three key players, and in next slide we will discuss the role of each key player. The researcher responsibility is that to discuss his research with supervisor, what supervision and work schedule is good for you and them. In other words, you have to settle the time frame for the research, or maybe you have to plan up the meeting schedule with your supervisor. Also, you have to discuss the topic and timetable with the supervisors. Researcher need to stick with the schedule and do not disappear from the supervisor radars, because supervisor always have to verify you are serious with your research, you are here in any research lab where he push you to work your to done your research work. So he continuously observing you. You have, as time to time, you have to complete the task or no. Maybe if you are not completing the task, then it is also possible you are not around. You are not around the research labs. You are not around any research center. So keep systematic record of work. Step by step, when you are doing your research, you have got the new. You need to keep these ideas as well as the previous search you have to keep in any soft form, or any you have to do a paperwork. Please keep all this paperwork when you are going to present your thesis. It may take long time, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. After that, you need detail. Maybe you need detail of any section which already you note in your paper, in your notebook. Also, submit written material with enough time for the supervisor to read it. Because once your supervisor assigns you a task, not only you have to complete this task on the time frame he given to you, as well as you When you have completed your task, you go to show your work. Also, you need your supervisor should also have enough time to read your work, because it is also the possibility maybe he is busy, he is doing some other task. So once you have to give to them, just wait on until he will not answer you. In any case, maybe if he forget, you have to remind, but when you go to remind, you should have something other that need to discuss with him, any new idea until this period when your supervisor is um, uh, review your work. On that period you must have to do something else. The work that you schedule for next, you must have to go with that work. Okay. Also, the research final submission detail with the supervisor when you have to complete the requirement of your degree. Maybe there is publication of requirement of your degree for your MS program, maybe for PhD program, 2, 3 ISI index journal. It's all depend upon institution to institution. Most important thing is that don't ignore criticism or guidance from the supervisor. In some cases, maybe you are in wrong direction. He will aggressively teach you the way that you need to follow, because your supervisor is the one who gives you the green signal that your work is okay enough for the submission or not. You need properly guideline of your supervisor. Also make sure that you do not do any illegal, like you have not include any plagiarized material, or you have not use any other methodology and claim that you are the one who have to do this. Okay. Most important thing is remember you are the driver. This is your work. You should know that how to drive your research car, we say that. It's up to you, slowly, and up to you. You have to go fast, that is in your favor. And supervisor also will be happy when you are doing your job with the defined schedule with your supervisor. If you have any other problem, maybe you are going to another country, you have any financial issue, maybe you have any residence or food issue and something else, you must have to inform your supervisor and do your best. If your supervisor is agree, then you have done your job. The responsibility of the supervisors include now the rules and standard of organization regarding research, like there maybe the formatting style, maybe the publication policy, maybe the timeline defined by the organization for the completion of your degree. So make sure that your supervisor should know all the rules and standard of your university or organization. Supervisor will also discuss a date and work schedule with the students, and after reviewing your work, if you need a right direction, then he will give you a proper guideline, proper guidance wherever you need it. Okay. So the guidance of your supervisor will not only help to give student the right path, but also with that he can improve or update his own skill set. The key responsibility is regularly schedule the meeting. If the student is not regular in meeting schedule, it means that he is doing something else than the research. Maybe he's doing something other thing, doing another job, and his focus is divert from somewhere else. On that case, is maybe he disappeared from long time. In that case, the supervisor have responsibility to schedule regular meeting with the student. Third is quality evaluator examiner. Responsibility includes to evaluate your complete thesis or your complete project. Also, evaluation can be done on the basis of your contribution and your complexity of your problem. These two things why he need to evaluate, because it's depend on if you are doing master degree or your PhD degree. So scope of your program depends on your contribution. The usefulness of the solution and your presentation style. All these things are evaluated by the quality evaluator examiner. It's very objective. Well, it's supposed to be. The quality assurer examiner who reviews and give feedback at various checkpoints in the research. Also, he can eliminate if there is a major problem in your research. It is also possible maybe you are addressing the problem or gap that are not exist, the solution is not possible, or it is also the possible maybe the solution is done by someone else. So the quality assurer examiner will eliminate all these big problems for occurring at the end of your project. It is too subjective, but not nearly as subjective as the supervisor. It is usually easier to be either quality assurer or quality evaluator, but not both. So choose one of each if you can. If you get the chance to be an evaluator, it will improve your own research, it will improve your own skill set. The typical evaluation criteria includes: does the title correspond well to the content? These are all the evaluation criteria when we are doing the research. Does the title correspond well to the content? Mean your title will reflect whatever the methodology you have using, and the end solution and the purpose, for what purpose, all are included in your title. Does the abstract give complete and correct picture of the content? You should summarize your whole thesis in the abstract. Complete summary of your thesis, complete summary of your research paper. most of the time when you are doing your research thesis, there is defined how much word that should be minimum or maximum number of the words that you are using in your abstract, because in abstract you don't have need to explain the stories. Later in next lecture when we talk about the abstract one by one, we will see that which of the key elements we need to verify when we are writing the abstract. Can the abstract be understood without reading the paper? This is also a very major question. Your summary should explain the complete paper. Does the introduction explain clearly what the investigated problem is? So sometimes what wrong with the students, researchers, scholars, they try to include all the terminology into the introduction section. But no dear, only you have to mention the things that are related to you from broader scope to narrow down to the to your research topic. Does the introduction give a complete and brief overview of the whole project? Does the author explain all terminology in clear and precise way? So in your introduction, maybe you are discussing about the different model, methods, algorithms. So the evaluator should need to examine, the researcher have to explain clearly and in precise way. Are the term used in consistent way? Consistency, how to check the consistency? Like for example, in when you are writing your research thesis, in chapter 1 section, say that maybe your introduction section, here you have give the abbreviation of any terminology, like we say that sport vector machine, or we say that random forest algorithm. So when you are giving the abbreviation in first time, did purpose of this abbreviation is what? You know what? Is that next time you don't want to write complete title of this abbreviation like sport vector machine, you don't want to write again and again completes and these three words. Instead that you have write svm only, and in next cases you are using svm for next sentences. And in some cases what wrongs with the student is that in one section they use different abbreviation, second section sometime they may change, or sometime in another chapter they may change the abbreviation. So you should have to consistent terminology. These are the abbreviation only, but another thing, sometime uh, sometime you need consistency in your uh, words you are using. For example, in first chapter you are using the term is model. Maybe you are propose a new model. In next chapter, maybe you change your consistency and change your term, like you develop a new uh, method or technique. You say that. Uh, so these are the possibility. Uh, in first chapter you use different terminology with your model. For example, you have proposing triangular coordinate extraction technique. First case you say that technique in first chapter, another chapter you say that triangular coordinate extraction model. These consistency should be the same. If you use first time one term, you should have to use the same term in next chapter in order to is for the evaluator. Otherwise the evaluator also supposed to be thought, oh, what he is doing, he also cannot understand what you want to say. So for good research presentation you should have to consistent with your terminologies. Does the author make use of relevant scientific conventions in the choice of terminology and definitions? Okay. Is the description of each method sufficiently clear and detailed to allow replication? You need to explain all your relevant models, methods when you are writing your literature. Okay. And also, if you are using in your methodology, you should have to explain when you're writing your methodology. Yes, you need to include sufficient material that will understand, and your content should be more clear enough so the evaluator may easy to understand all the flow of your research. Also, is it you have to use the technical flow where a method is applied in incorrect way, are the presented result relevant? In some cases maybe you are you must have to compare orange with orange, not orange with mango, right? So this evaluator must have to check your result, how to compare with your results, how the which evaluation parameters you are using that are relevant. These evaluation parameters are required for the particular model in order to generate results. Is your analysis you have done is correctly, the technique you are using for the analysis is relevant with your research work, and your table and figure that are using are correct according to the format of university when you are writing paper according to the format of any journal, and these figures show the relevancy with your research work or no. Maybe the some cases you are when you are writing your research literature review, on that cases some of the method model not relevant to you, but you for the sake to make your research thesis big you have to put the thing here from different places. All the results you have presented in your thesis are objectively, your figures and tables are matched with the text. Also, when you are mention your figure or table, did you mention in your text? You should have to mention in your text, like for example, the triangular coordinate extraction model X is shown in figure 1. This is your sentence. Did you do this? You should have to explain your table and figure in your text when you are writing your research paper or when you're writing your thesis. Are the conclusion reasonable? your results are sufficient enough to defend your degree title, your arguments you are using are scientifically valid or too speculative, and finally you are writing your summary that are in well written or no. After that, your references format is aligned with the any organizer or university format or no, or any journal format. You are properly cited the source paper in your thesis. Sometime what happen, some of the researcher what they're doing for the sake of citation paper, those are not relevant with your research work, they just included for the sake of citation, they just cited in the paper in somewhere else, and their purpose only that he or she can got a maximum citation. At this stage maybe you people thought that, oh, what is the citation, we have not learned till now what is the references. Don't worry about. In next lecture we little shift our direction from this theoretical to some practical approach, because theory will go with our any implementation work, like with any assignment. When I ask you for any research paper, similarly on the other side we are manage balance our lectures with the uh, practical approach as well as our theoretical approach. Citation place in the text is reasonable way depends on maybe any you are writing your thesis. Some of the universities want your citation format should be APA, or some want that IEEE format. It's up to the university to university which is the approved citation format. Accordingly, the evaluator must have to check that the citation format is okay or not. Also, the evaluator can check you have to cover the relevant literature or enough literature you have to cover that you are discussing in your methodology. For example, maybe you are using some evaluation parameters, you are using some other comparison with the other technique. All these things you need to include it in your literature chapter, and in which you have to explain all these terminologies that are used in your methodology or results sections. The objective of the research is to discover answer to question through the application of scientific procedures. The main aim of research is to find out the truth which is hidden and which has not been discovered as yet. Mean you have to discuss the unique idea, novelty, contribution that are relevant to that topic. Furthermore, it helps to gain familiarity with the phenomena or to achieve new insight into it. For example, it defines the exploratory and formulative research, in which the exploratory or formulative research is determine the nature of problem. It is not intended to provide conclusive evidence but help us to have a better understanding of the problem. When conducting exploratory research, the researcher ought to be willing to change his or her direction as a result of revelation of new data and new insights. Example of the exploratory research design includes a study into the role of social networking site as an effective marketing communication channel, an investigation into the way of improvement of quality of customer service within the hospital sector in Pakistan. Third, we say that an assessment of the role of cooperative or corporate social responsibility on customer behavior in pharmaceutical industry in USA. Next point is to portray accurately the characteristic of particular individual, situation or a group, which is called the descriptive research. Is also defined research method that describe the characteristic of population or phenomenon that is being studied. This methodology focuses more on the what of the research subject rather than the why the research subject. In other words, we can say that uh, it describes the subject of the research without covering why it happened. The term descriptive research refer to research design of the research and data analysis that would be conducted on the topic. It is called as observational research method because none of the variables that are part of research study are influenced in any capacity. The third objective is to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else is called the diagnostic research study. It also defined as the diagnostic research interest of the group focuses on the development and investigation of method for evaluating medical tests in healthcare, including both primary and secondary research. Fourth objective of the research include to test a hypothesis of causal relationship between variables, which is also called hypothesis testing research study. When you conduct a piece of quantitative research, you are inevitably attempting to answer a research question or hypothesis that you have set. One method of evaluating this research question is via a process called hypothesis testing, which is sometimes also referred to as significant testing. This is all about the lecture 3. I hope all of you got the knowledge of key terms used in research, terminologies, and different research methods. So at the end of this lecture, I again want to remind you, if you have not subscribed our channel, please subscribe and click the bell icon, which will remind you in our next videos regarding our next video. Thank you so much for listening. See you in lecture 4.